Welcome to Unstoppable You Now, where stories come alive. Join us as we uncover a timeless lesson hidden in the woods. Deep within the vibrant green canopy lived a lively squirrel, known for his endless energy and his love for playing tricks. Nearby, a graceful stork lived a quiet life by the stream, always moving with elegance and treating everyone with great politeness. Despite their differences in size and personality, the squirrel and the stork were neighbors who often crossed paths in the forest. One sunny afternoon, the mischievous squirrel decided it would be very funny to play a little prank on his tall friend. He approached the stork with a wide smile and invited him over for a delicious dinner at his cozy treehouse. The stork was delighted by the gesture, thinking that the squirrel was being a generous friend, and happily accepted the invitation. Back at home, the squirrel prepared a fragrant soup. The smell was wonderful, filling the entire room with a savory aroma. However, instead of bowls, the squirrel took out 2 flat plates. This was the key part of his planned practical joke. Right on time, the stork arrived for dinner, feeling very hungry and looking forward to a warm meal with his neighbor. They sat down at the table. The soup was served, but it was spread thinly across the surface of the flat plates. This type of plate is called shallow. It has very little depth, making it difficult for some to drink soup from. The squirrel, with his short snout and agile tongue, easily lapped up the soup, enjoying every drop of the tasty meal. But the poor stork could only peck at the shallow plate. His long beak just hit the ceramic with a tap. The squirrel asked if the soup was delicious, pretending not to notice that his guest was unable to eat a single bite. The stork tried his best to be polite, but it was physically impossible for him to consume the liquid from the flat surface. Soon, the squirrel had finished his meal, while the stork's plate remained full. The dinner was over, and the prank was complete. The hungry stork thanked the squirrel for the invitation and left the house, trying to maintain his dignity despite the humiliation. Once the door was closed, the squirrel laughed heartily, thinking he was the smartest and funniest animal in the entire forest. This was a prank, a trick played on someone as a joke. But the squirrel did not care about the stork's feelings. That night, the stork went to bed with an empty stomach. He lay awake, thinking about how to teach the squirrel a lesson. The next morning, the stork had a plan. He would not get angry, but he would show the squirrel how it felt. He spent the day gathering the finest ingredients to prepare a meal that would smell even more delicious than the squirrel's soup. He visited the squirrel and invited him to dinner. The squirrel, thinking of free food, eagerly accepted the invitation without hesitation. Evening came, and the stork's kitchen was filled with the rich aroma of a slow-cooked stew that made the mouth water. The squirrel arrived, licking his lips. He was ready to eat as much as possible to make up for his own cooking. "Welcome, my friend," said the stork. He led the squirrel to the table where the meal was already served in special vessels. The food was served in tall jars with a very narrow neck. This shape is the opposite of the shallow plate from before. "Please, enjoy," said the stork. He easily slipped his long beak down the narrow neck of the jar and enjoyed the stew. The squirrel tried to eat, but the neck of the jar was too narrow for his snout. He could not reach the food. He circled the jar, sniffing the top and licking the glass on the outside, but not a single drop touched his tongue. The stork finished his meal calmly, while the squirrel grew more and more frustrated, realizing he was going to stay hungry. Suddenly, the squirrel stopped. He looked at the tall jar, then at the stork, and the realization of what was happening hit him. He remembered the shallow plates he had served the stork. He remembered how he had laughed when his friend went home hungry. The squirrel understood now. He was feeling exactly what the stork had felt: hungry, foolish, and the victim of a thoughtless prank. The stork saw that the squirrel had learned his lesson. He did not want his friend to starve, only to understand empathy. With a kind gesture, the stork tipped the jar and poured the delicious stew into a bowl that the squirrel could use. The squirrel ate happily, but before he finished, he looked up and apologized sincerely for his bad behavior the other day. The stork accepted the apology. They finished the evening as true friends, sharing not just a meal, but a valuable understanding. Through this story, we learn a simple but powerful truth about how we interact with those around us in our daily lives. We learn the word shallow. It describes something with little depth, like the plate that made it impossible for the stork to eat. We also learned narrow. This describes a space that is not wide, like the jar neck that kept the squirrel from his food. And we saw a prank. While jokes can be funny, they stop being fun when they hurt someone else's feelings or dignity. The moral of the story is the golden rule. Always treat others exactly the way you would want them to treat you. If you don't like being teased or left out, make sure you never do those things to your friends or your neighbors. True friendship is built on respect and kindness. When we are considerate of others' needs, we create a happier world for everyone. So next time you plan a joke, think of the squirrel and the stork. Ask yourself, would I laugh if this happened to me? Let us all choose kindness over tricks and empathy over pranks. That is the secret to lasting friendships and a peaceful life. Thank you for watching this story. We hope it brought a smile to your face and a valuable lesson to your heart. Remember to subscribe to Unstoppable You Now for more inspiring stories, vocabulary lessons, and adventures that help you grow every single day. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and always be unstoppable. Goodbye, and see you in our next exciting video.